Hi, I'm Busam, and for this week's assignment, I'm going to document my process. So I started from a MecaBricks scene inspired by the Wingardium Leviosa moment from the first Harry Potter movie, where Hermione shows Ron how to perform the spell. In Blender, I slightly adjusted the composition, mainly aligning the walls, so they frame the scene properly from the camera's perspective as background. A key issue I encountered was with the textures. The default UV mapping of the Legos caused incorrect faces to appear, the back faces. So, yeah, to solve this, I reworked the UVs manually and used smart UV mapping where needed, then baked the textures into new maps through the shader nodes. This way, the correct faces, uniforms, and book details were visible in Unity. I then organized the scene into collections, separating Harmony, Ron, the table, and the walls, and exported each as individual FBX files for better control during import. And in Unity, yeah, I imported these as prefabs and I unpacked them to restructure the hierarchy. This allowed me to parent objects correctly, for example, attaching Harmony's head to the hair as a parent. I reassigned the baked materials to ensure the textures displayed properly. For the environment, I reused elements. I created floors using this existing tile to make it into a prefab and only placed it where visible in the camera shots, and duplicated this wall to fully cover the background on the left side. I also added a skybox, as you can see here, and some minimal lighting for environment's sake, along with colliders. As you can see, uh, this is a box collider. The walls also have box colliders. The floor also have box colliders, and the characters have capsule colliders. To define this was to define physical boundaries. And for the cinematic part, I used timeline together with Cinemachine. I created three separate let me show you like this, three separate virtual cameras and sequenced them. The first shot shows Harmony looking at Ron and then turning her head back. The second is a wider shot where she performs the spell, moving her wand while the feather begins to float at the end. The third continues the action, focusing on floating feather and Ron's reaction. I added simple animations to support the scene, even though it wasn't required yet, but I didn't have a scene where I could move my character, so I tried to compensate by adding the animations already. And one challenge was animating the wand, since the arm's pivot was in the middle of the arm and not where the joint would be. So I added this empty object here to parent the left arm, the arm, the hand, and the wand. So from there, I animated separately, and as you can see in the timeline, all of the different animations where they are connected have their own tracks, and this allows for a more natural movement on the hands end. I also deleted the position transform and only kept the rotation so it stayed in place. Another issue was with the feather animation. For some reason, even though I moved it in the z-axis, it would move in the x-axis. In the timeline it seemed that way, so I compensated by actually moving it in the opposite x-axis in animation, so that in the actual timeline it would seem to float upwards. And then I turned Ron's head in actual Lego movie style to show surprise, and this is how it plays all together. Looking at Ron, doing the spell, feather starts to float, continues, and Ron is surprised. Thank you.